Hey Vikings Nation, what is going on? Are you ready for a move that might not be making massive headlines, but could quietly become one of the smartest decisions of the offseason? Because today we're breaking down a signing that's flying under the radar, but might have huge implications for the Minnesota Vikings defense. You've probably noticed it too. While other teams are making splashy moves, the Vikings have been pretty quiet. But sometimes it's not about the noise. It's about the precision. And what if I told you this latest addition could be one of those sneaky moves that ends up paying off big time? So stick with me because we're diving deep into who James Pierre is, why the Vikings brought him in, what experts are saying, and how this could impact the team moving forward. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. The Minnesota Vikings haven't exactly been the stars of free agency this year. In fact, it's been more about watching players leave than watching new talent arrive. That's been frustrating for a lot of fans, and honestly, it raises questions about the team's direction. But here's where things get interesting. While the big names might not be rolling in, the front office is still making calculated moves behind the scenes. Moves that don't grab headlines, but fill important gaps on the roster. And that brings us to James Pierre. Not a superstar, not a headline grabber, but maybe, just maybe, exactly what this defense needs right now. Let's talk numbers for a second because they matter. The Vikings signed James Pierre to a 2-year deal worth $8.5 million. That includes a $2.5 million signing bonus and $3.7 million guaranteed. Now, that's not elite cornerback money, but it's not nothing either. This tells us the Vikings see real value in Pierre. They're not just bringing him in for camp competition. They expect him to contribute. And when you look at the structure of the deal, it screams one thing: depth with upside. A player who can step in when needed and potentially exceed expectations. Let's be real, Pierre is not walking into Minnesota as a starter. That's not the plan. With Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers ahead of him, the starting spots are pretty much locked. But here's the key: depth wins games. Especially in today's NFL, where injuries and fatigue can derail a season fast. And that's where Pierre comes in. He's the kind of player you want waiting in the wings. Ready, prepared, and capable of stepping up when his number is called. And it's not just about defense. Pierre also brings value on special teams. Something that often gets overlooked but can swing momentum in critical moments. Think about it. Field position, coverage units, game-changing plays that don't always show up in the box score. That's where players like Pierre make their mark. So even if he's not starting, he's contributing. And that matters more than most fans realize. Now here's where things get really interesting. We reached out to someone who knows Pierre better than most, a Steelers expert, and the feedback? Extremely encouraging. According to that perspective, Pierre had what you could call a sneaky good 2025 season. Not flashy, not hyped, but highly effective. And sometimes those are the most dangerous players. The ones no one is talking about, until they start making plays. Let's talk about his journey, because it's actually pretty inspiring. Pierre entered the league as an undrafted free agent back in 2020. No hype, no guarantees, just a chance. And he turned that chance into a 6-year NFL career, mostly with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That alone tells you something about his work ethic, his resilience, and his ability to earn trust in a competitive environment. There was even a moment where he signed with Washington before the 2024 season, but didn't make the final roster. And what happened next? He went right back to Pittsburgh. And that says a lot, because teams don't bring players back unless they believe in them. Especially not under a coach like Mike Tomlin. If Tomlin trusts you, you've earned it. Period. Now let's get into the stats, because this is where things get really exciting. Pierre didn't just have a decent season in 2025. He was graded as the second highest cornerback by Pro Football Focus among 114 qualified players. Let that sink in. Second, out of 114. That's not luck. That's performance. And it gets even better. His coverage grade, 88.9. That ranked first in the entire group. Yes, first. That means when he was on the field, he was locking people down. Now, before we get carried away, there are limitations. Pierre doesn't have elite top-end speed, and he's only started 13 games in his career. So he's not a perfect player. But honestly, that's not what the Vikings need him to be. They need consistency, awareness, reliability, and from everything we're seeing, Pierre brings exactly that. He played 14 games last season and started 5 of them. That shows he can step into a bigger role when needed. He's not just a bench guy, he's a plug-and-play option. And that's incredibly valuable over a long season, especially in a defense that demands versatility and discipline. And let's talk about fit. Under Brian Flores, this Vikings defense thrives on aggression, disguise, and smart decision-making. Pierre's feel for the game, as experts describe it, fits perfectly into that system. He reads plays well. He positions himself smartly. And that can sometimes be more valuable than pure athleticism. So what does this all mean for the Vikings? Simple. This is a smart, calculated signing. It's not about replacing stars. It's about strengthening the foundation. And championship teams are built on depth just as much as star power. Imagine this scenario: Murphy or Rogers struggles, or misses time. Who steps in? Now you've got James Pierre, a proven, high-graded corner with confidence and experience. That's not a bad insurance policy at all. And honestly, this is the kind of move fans might overlook now but appreciate later. So here's the big question for you, Vikings Nation. Do you think James Pierre could turn into one of the biggest steals of this offseason? Or is this just another depth move that won't move the needle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you're loving this kind of deep dive into Minnesota Vikings news, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with every Vikings fan you know. Because we're just getting started, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Skol.